Hey guys, this is EckhartsLadder. Hello and welcome to another video. Today's will be a quick one, but before we get into it, I just want to make sure I take a second to wish everyone good luck with the global, you know what I'm talking about, I can't say it on YouTube. I know things are starting to get a little bit serious. A lot of you get to miss school, which is probably okay, but I know a lot of you too probably can't go to work or don't have the same income stream coming in or are nervous about the health of you or one of your loved ones, and I just want to say that my thoughts go out to all of you, and of course, good luck. Today we'll be looking at Star Wars Legends and examining almost a comically evil technique used by the Galactic Empire. As a bit of background, today's information comes mostly from Book 2 of the Jedi Academy trilogy. As you might expect, the Jedi Academy trilogy deals with Luke Skywalker establishing his Jedi Praxium in the years after the campaigns of Grand Admiral Thrawn and the Reborn Emperor. The second book of the trilogy deals with not only that, but also the efforts of Natasi Dalla, a newly established Imperial warlord, as she operates against the New Republic. Other bad actors include Ambassador Fergan of the Imperial military world Karita. Not only does he attempt to kill Mon Mothma through poison, but he also takes advantage of the technique we'll be discussing in today's video. We meet a character known as Turpfin, who is a mechanic and really close to Admiral Ackbar. He serves on his personal teams, he helps prepare his shuttles for launch, and he's highly trusted within the New Republic. However, Turpfin had been abducted by the Empire and suffered under an extremely invasive, dark, and cruel procedure known to him, which I'll call his Imperial Vivisection. Now, I don't know if his procedure has a specific name, but he identifies it as a vivisection, which is basically the experimentation on a live being through surgery, basically cutting them open and seeing how it works. Very Imperial and very, very disgusting. But the vivisection didn't end at that. He was also partially lobotomized. Here's what he says. The doctors had sawed open his skull and scooped out portions of his brain, segments that controlled a Calamarian's loyalty, his volition, and his resistance to special commands. The cruel xenosurgeons had replaced the missing areas of Turpfin's brain with specially grown organic circuits that mimic the shape, size, and composition of the removed tissue. So there's some really disturbing elements of this. For one, the Empire has been experimenting on Mon Calamaris so much apparently that they know which portions of the brain do what, and that they're able to replace the brain itself with quasi-organic technology. And I'm sure many of you can already guess why they were doing so. These circuits, implanted and undetectable within his brain, essentially made him a cyborg. There was literally nothing that he would say no to if ordered by the Empire. He couldn't resist, at least not without extreme effort and pain. Turpfin had been staunchly anti-imperial during the Galactic Civil War, but after his abduction was forced to do some really disgusting things. He modifies Admiral Ackbar's personal B-wing in an effort to kill both the Admiral and Leia, who was also on board. The act of doing so literally brings him pain, but there's no possible way for him to resist it. Similarly, he's forced to give up the location of Anakin Solo, Leia and Han's newborn child, and a potentially strong Jedi. Here's an example of an instance where he's forced to do something against his wishes. Turpfin lay sick and shivering in his private quarters, trying with all his might to resist, but in the end, the organic circuitry inside what was left of his brain took over. Moving with forced steps, he descended to the dispatching and receiving network in the lower levels of the Imperial Palace. After he successfully sends a message, he's described as, in a reflex action, reaching out, trying to grab the slick sides of the container that he's sending out. However, the probing wasn't just when the Empire wanted him to do so, but was nearly constant, basically as a reminder of their continual control. Eventually, Turpfin is able to break the connection and redeems himself. I won't spoil exactly how, but if you want to learn, you can tune in to Tapcaf Transmissions, which is the Star Wars book club style podcast that I run with Corey from Corey Loses and Corey's Datapad. We've already covered book 1 of the Jedi Academy trilogy, but book 2 and 3 is where Turpfin's story really plays out. So I'll put a link to that down in the description, but I'll also just be streaming the next episode on the channel. Vivisection was not the only method of Imperial mind control, though I personally think it's the most gross and insidious because of the actual live surgical aspect of it, and also the associated torture, which is usually used as a cover for the scarring and whatnot. In the X-Wing series, for example, we learn how the Super Star Destroyer Lusankya was used as a prison which broke its inhabitants through mind control, force conditioning, and other more psychological ways. The Lusankya was evil in its own right because it would have the prisoners released or recovered, and then the conditioning would force them to kill somebody within the New Republic, sometimes even their loved ones. A good example of this would be Dira Quasiri. The Aftermath trilogy from Star Wars canon also has a similar plot device in that Gallius Rax implants a sort of chip in the heads of captured rebels, and they are used to stage a major attack against New Republic leadership during Liberation Day. Pretty terrible. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys on the video topic at hand, but before I sign off, I will take a hashtag AskEck question of the day, and today's comes from Falchion1984, who asks, were there any Remnant-controlled Executor-class Super Star Destroyers left or built after the Bastion Accords? For that matter, did the GA build any of their own after the Vong War? Star Wars Explained seemed to imply that the Guardian was the only one left post-Vong. That's a good question. Alex might be right. I don't think there were any Super Star Destroyers actually built after the Yuuzhan Vong War, certainly not any of the Executor type, though various factions, including even Corellia, did build their own dreadnoughts. And the Guardian may have been the only Executor-class Super Star Destroyer, but we also know of, for example, the Megador, which was a starship used by the Galactic Alliance during the Swarm War and beyond. It was at times the flagship of Jason Solo when he was Darth Kaitis, and I think it's very possible that the Imperial Remnant may have had one left lying around somewhere. But great question, I'll be really curious to hear whether somebody else can think of any. The Megador, by the way, is a Star Destroyer of unknown class. I actually reached out to Troy Denning on Twitter to ask if he knew what type he intended it to be, and he didn't. So take that for what you will. Until next time though guys, this has been EckhartsLadder. As I said, stay safe, I'm thinking of all of you, have a good day, and of course, most importantly, may the Force be with you.